today the vault has been moved to Cat's Lair. That's right, we're here to talk about the Thundercats. Thundercats is easily one of my top 5 animated shows of all time. I just love it, hence the t-shirt. It's just one of those things that I've been fortunate enough to watch as a kid and then really embrace it as I've grown older, very much like with some other franchises which I've yet to talk about, but they are still to come. And if you know me, you know there's big monster one that I have to talk about. So yeah, so Thundercats here we have on DVD. This is the complete first set and the complete second set here. More 65 episodes on season 1 and more than 23, oh gosh, 23 hours basically, so it would take you a day, near enough to watch either set, so that's some good viewing. Obviously Larry Kenny was the voice of Lionel in this. I was lucky enough to interview him, so I'm actually going to put his little promo thing right here.
Hi, this is Larry Kenny. You may remember me as the voice of Lionel in Thundercats. And you are listening, as I am, to Chris Vince and Alan Price on Operation Retro Shock. Hi, this is Larry Kenny, the voice of Lionel from Thundercats. You're listening to Alan Price and Chris Vince on Operation Retro Shock. Thundercats! Ho!
Larry was one of the first people that Alan and I interviewed on Operation Retro Shock. He was just an absolute joy to talk to about Thundercats, and at that stage there was another Thundercats cartoon in the offing, which I will talk about momentarily. I did email Mr. Kenny sometime after the interview because it was Alan's birthday coming up, and asked him if he would mind sending an autograph, and he said sure, give me your address, and I was lucky enough for him to send me one, so you can see where it says there to Chris, and then on the sword it says Thundercats Ho and Larry Kenny. An absolute gentleman of a man, and actually Facebook friends with him, as a lot of Thundercats fans are, but I don't think a year's gone past that he hasn't actually wished me a happy birthday, which is quite surreal whenever you have somebody who you've watched whenever you were a kid wishing you a happy birthday. It's kind of something really unique. So yeah, so obviously Thundercats you have, let's see here, because this should open up to show you all the characters, which it does. So you have the blue guy is Panthro, the kind of tiger guy is Tigra, the one with my finger is Snarf, the one with the sword is Lionel, and up the top you have Wily Kit and Wily Cat. They're the main Thundercats, although you do get a couple of other ones on season 2, I think, because that starts with Thundercats Ho, which is like the movie, which is basically like 6 episodes put together. Very much like She-Ra and her offing. There isn't really any like visual histories or anything like that to do with Thundercats, but if you want to know more or read more about it, I highly recommend this totally awesome greatest cartoons of the 80s, which has Thundercats in it here. But they basically talk about, you know, like what each cartoon did back then and what have you, so I should really be more prepared with these books, although for future. So this actually has the real Ghostbusters in it as well, which you would have seen me talk about in my last video. So we have here Thundercats. It's only around for 40 years, from 1985 to 1989. So there's Lionel over there. And then you've got Lionel with Sly the Monkey and Tigra, voiced by Peter Newman. And then you've got like Chitara there, and Snarf, etc. And yeah, and then we'll go on to Muppet Babies. But yeah, I think I picked this book up from Amazon for less than 20 quid. So if you are a fan of 80s retro stuff or are just kind of finding your feet with it, this would be something that I would highly recommend for you to learn a bit more about items that you may not have watched or may not know much about. So if you're into reading, mainly you, Simon, I highly recommend this. So obviously Thundercats then spawned a lot of action figures. Of course, as a kid, I had probably the majority of them, if not all of them. The only thing is that parents decide, you don't need toys anymore, let's give them away. So all my Thundercats figures, all my He-Man figures were all given away. And I bet you those kids are probably stinking rich right now. But there was some that was released in the 2000s. So you did have the Thundercats. I think these were called Thundercats Classics, were they? I'm going to say they were. So here is Lionel with his tiny sword omens and his claw shield, which there's actually a blue part that goes there and that kind of attached to his side. These are kind of nicely articulated figures as well, so you can see how much they've come on, because the original ones was him like that. And then you do have Tigra here. Again, with these, you do have like the hands do come off, and you can change their hands and stuff. So you've got him with his bolo whip there as well. Again, you can see fully articulated figures. My sister then, for Christmas one year, got me this Mezco one, which is of Lionel, obviously with his sword of omens. You do have as well, you can change his hand here to just a fist, and you can change the large sword omens whenever he's called the Thundercats to the small sword omens. So basically what he does with this is he says thunder, thunder, Thundercats ho, and it kind of, every time he says Thundercats, grows, and then once the emblem comes up, you can call them, and they can basically find out where he is if he's in danger. And obviously, it wouldn't be Lionel without his little loyal companion, who back in the day didn't really irritate you that much, but when we watch it now, you're like, oh, just shut up, Snarf. I will say as well that I can't really post it on here, but if you're not opposed to swearing or whatever, type into YouTube, once you've watched this video, of course, Thundercats outtakes, which is just hilarious. It just that was something that Larry Kenny talked to us about. So again, if you would like to listen to the interview that we did with Mr. Kenny, the link will be in the description down below. We also did get from Matty Collector, who did like a lot of the He-Man figures and stuff, like these figures here, which this is Lionel. This was sent to me by my buddy Mike, so thanks for this, Mike. I think he sent this to me one Christmas time. It came with this nice outer box, which Mattel seemed to be a heck for doing as well. So we've got the cat slayer on the side there too. And always, as always, we'll finish off with this, is that Thundercats, of course, then proceeded to go into comic books. Now, there was comics around the 80s. I think it was Panini, I want to say. Probably not, but there was like ones that were a big comic book. And I do have a couple of them signed, but I don't know where they are. At the minute, they're probably in storage somewhere, because I only have so much room to display my stuff, and that's that. So, one of the first comics that I picked up was, there was like a source book thing that came out. So you have one here. Well, sorry, that's the source book there, which is one of the first things that I picked up whenever I was starting to get into comics, because obviously I like living my youth, and with Thundercats it was a big part of that. So whenever I saw this, I thought I'd pick that up. There was as well the Origins, which is to do with the heroes and villains. So that's the villains one, and then you've got the heroes and villains, which has the heroes on it there, which has Mumra, Jaga, Lionel, Chitara, etc. They did obviously then, where'd that one go? They did do one, where did I put it? You tell how well, whatever. So they did do a couple of crossovers, and one of them was Thundercats and Battle of the Planets. Battle of the Planets was like some kind of manga from Japan. I've never ever watched it, and I've never ever read this, but I got this. There was a couple of variant ones, but I don't want to bore you with showing you the variants for everything. So this was one of them. But one of the ones that they did do a crossover with, which really surprised me, was Thundercats and Superman, which is a real odd one. They didn't really do, I think they only did one shot of this, which was from Wildstorm. But yeah, something different as well. I know that Superman kind of crossed over with some other things, such as Hulk and another franchise, which we'll talk about at a later date. So yeah, there was basically 5 different runs from Thundercats. The first one that came out the one that I got first of all was Thundercats the Return. So basically this is to do with Lionel has basically been stuck in the Book of Omens for quite some time and comes out, and Third Earth is now a different place. Wily Kit and Wily Cat are Mumra's slaves, and all of the rest of the Thundercats are either imprisoned or something's gone on with them. So he basically has to try and reunite the Thundercats together. And a different clobber as well from the outside of it. I think it's Snarf who actually releases him from the Book of Omens. We do have Thundercats Dogs of War, which you can see there that they're kind of looking a little bit different than they normally do. And then we have just plain Thundercats. This one was done by artist J. Scott Campbell, which some of the stuff it can be quite expensive to get hold of, but this cover here was pretty inexpensive. I think I've bought that cover for quite a few people. We do have Thundercats Enemies Pride as well. Some of these were a bit of a nightmare to get hold of, and probably my favourite one was Thundercats Hammerhound's Revenge, which has Hachiman there as well. But a really good run. And again, with these, it's only about 5 or 6 issues as well, and if you're not bothered of varying comments, you can pick them up quite cheaply. Obviously, another thing was that the Thundercats crossed over with He-Man. So I'm just going to grab one of my comics here. So He-Man and Thundercats crossed over together. This was a really, really good read as well, just seeing 2 of your favourite 80s franchises just kind of coming together in one kind of thing. As well, Freddie Williams III did the art for this. I do have a signed print of this as well, which I was happy to have. And obviously they bring out different variant covers. So there was a heroes version, a villains version, a colouring version, and a convention exclusive, which is this wraparound. Now, I don't know if you can see this. This is a graded comic. It's 9.8 out of 10. So you can kind of see the silver foil around it. And then whenever you go around the back, it has the villains on the back there as well. Yeah, so that was one of the ones that whenever I wanted to get graded, and really happy with the grade of it as well. So Rob David and Lloyd Goldfind story, Freddie E. Williams II, not the third. Art. So, but before I go, obviously they did rebirth Thundercats into 2 different things. We had Thundercats in 2011, which again Larry Kenny kind of reprised a role in that, but not as Lionel, but as Lionel's father Claudius. So he did a really outstanding job of that. I'm not saying that because I've interviewed the guy or whatever, but yeah, that he did a really good job in that. But they also then brought out one a couple of years ago called Thundercats Roar. It is very, very based for children. It's not really for the person who grew up with them in the 80s and wants to watch them now. It is mainly for more like about under 10s, I would say. I'm not going to put the intro in here because I do not like the look of it. I don't rate it whatsoever. And if you want to find it about yourself, just type in Thundercats Roar intro or Thundercats Roar trailer and you'll find something there. So I'm going to end with basically just to show you the kind of animation from the 80s version of Thundercats, and then basically a little bit from the trailer from 2011. So I hope you've enjoyed our journey into the vault, into Cat's Lair's vault, even as I've basically sat and talked about Thundercats. I do promise that He-Man will be one that I talk about, but I'm going to leave that for a bit and then talk about it. So hopefully the next video that I do will be my top 10 underrated 80s movies. I haven't really talked about movies on the channel, so I'm kind of excited to talk about that. So that'll be the next one. And then we'll go back to talking about another item after that. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. And I don't know what's going on with my hand. It's very Gordon Ramsay, isn't it? Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.
Thundercats! Ho! Thunder!
The day I have always feared has arrived.
Thunder to the death! Thunder! Thundercats! Ho!